So I've made a little Python script that allows me to look at past convergences of the calendar alignments. You know, with the Hebrew and the Islamic lunar calendar and the Julian and the Gregorian. So and how this works is you would type in the 2 years you want to switch them between. So I'm going to do 1 and 3000. It's going to tell me how many occurrences there are, and it's going to give me a list. What? I'm going to put Python 3. So total convergences in 3000 years is 4. So we have this. I've included Easter because I had one that checks for the Gregorian and the Julian calendar, and Easter is part of the, for those who understand Python, it's part of the module that you would use to look at the dates. So Easter is a marker I used that from 7 days from Easter would be Passover. Well, not Passover, it would be Palm Sunday. So I used April 14th and April 26th. It's kind of like a triangulation because those days would be arbitrary if Easter wasn't there. So because every year has April 14th and 26th, but Easter is always on a different day. So this is where it converges. And I don't have to use Easter because I have the Islamic and Hebrew calendars built in to the script because that's also part of the conversion in the modules of Python. Of course, I also have to finagle the dates because Hebrew messes this up. So we see it happens in 1411, 1867, and 2030. So far it's only happened twice. And then 2486, you can go through all these. And as you see in the Hebrew, it's approximately 10 Nisan. Because look, on this year it's 11-1-5171, which is the year. Then this one is 9-1-5627, and this one goes back to 11-5790. And then this one goes back to 9-1. So we got a pattern here. 11-1, 9-1, 11-1, and then 9-1 again. Then we get 10-12. This is for the Islamic calendar. 10-12, 9-12, then 10-12 again. And then 9-12 again. So there's a pattern here. I have a theory. Let me open ChatGPT again. I need to use the date. I thought I wasn't going to use ChatGPT or Safari. But where is it? Wait, I don't think it's here. Okay, wait. It would be right here. Let me adjust the size of this so it fits. Okay, that fits. Screw that over. Alright, so let's go back to Daniel 9:25. And it's doing the math again. I need to switch this to, we know the KJV has it, so we're going to look at here it is. Search. Okay. 3 square in 2 weeks. 3 months and 14 days. Now here's what's catch me off guard. Like in 2024, I knew this. I converted it and I was I was doing this work for Ukraine, and I got that in relation to the Chernobyl disaster. But I've always been caught up on the 7 weeks. So it says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to rebuild Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. With the usage of 7 weeks and 2 weeks over here with a middle of, let's say, a month or the months and a comma right here, that tells me that 7 weeks isn't an actual week. Let me explain. 7 weeks, I have a theory. 7 weeks could be referring to how many occurrences this has occurred. How many times has 62 weeks all converged like this in history? And as you said, and as we saw, we get 2 times before 2030. So my theory is, if this is all coming together, 2030 should be the 7th time this happens. And that would all align here. This is from the Old Testament. This is from the Hebrews. This is from the Jews, right? This is the Old Testament. When Christianity got it, they did this, and they said, well, this, whatever they said, and they did the math and said 62 weeks from here. So they've converted it to a future date. The Old Testament, it keeps it in the same time period, but I know this sounds off topic, but it relates to what we're saying. Remember how I was doing, when I was doing astrology, and I was showing you events that would happen in the future? And they had really strong indicators of an event, and then I gave those events names. Think of Christianity as an event. So, and if there's an event, then we can work backwards. This would be another theory. If everything aligns, this should have happened 7 times before, making 2030 the first time. But here's where we're limited to. I gotta open this. I gotta move this. Okay, so as you see here, this is from year 1. That's what I got here. Year 1 to year 3000, which is the second perimeter. But notice here, since the first time in 1471, 5171 showed up. That means that we have about 3, maybe 4,000 years that we cannot access because we are stuck to the Gregorian calendar. My computer's in Gregorian. The software runs in Gregorian. So I would have to switch this to a Hebrew calendar. That should work, theoretically. Now, if we're going to use the Hebrew calendar, remember we transitioned to this. So what this means is that the day is encrypted. 420, let's see, where is it? 414 would be, we would have to convert that to Hebrew calendar. And as we see here, we get 11-1 and we get 9-1. So which one will we use? I would say we would use this one from 2030, 11-1, where we can decrypt it. We can work backwards. That's what I would do. Now, how am I going to do that is another story. But I'm sure that we can figure it out. So I would have to convert this to a Hebrew software. Not my computer, because that wouldn't really, I don't think that would work. Because the script I'm running would automatically convert to Gregorian. At least I think it would. But anyways, I'm not going to test that. But we're just going to have the script simulate it's running in Hebrew. So that should work. And if I'm correct, then we should see the state 11-1 show up 7 times when we run it to this time. That should work. That's what it looks like to me by reading this. Now, there would be people who already know that, and it would be in the archives. Deeper than the archives of, I don't know who you would go to, but somewhere deeper in the archives of Judaism. It could be it could be in a temple. It could be in a. It would be very hard to find. It would be a cover up. There would be some sort of, I don't want to say cover up like a conspiracy, but a cover up like they wouldn't release that to the public, right? Only a very select few would know this is coming. They wouldn't want people to know that, whether by panic or whether by whatever, control, whatever. So 7 weeks, 3 square and 2 weeks. You wouldn't say. Well, you could say it, but that would be very strange in language. But like I showed you, most Bibles, Christianity, they switched that to their understanding of time. They forward it when it should really not be forwarded. It should not transition. It's stuck to the Hebrew, to the original Hebrew understanding, Judaism understanding. So when Christianity changed that should not have taken place. That's a mistake. That's error. I'll give you an example of that. Oh, what I was about to say something. Okay. 7s and 62 sevens. See, that's not, and even if you run the software like that, this is all true. If we run this for 7,000 years, we see non-occurrences. And the last occurrence is 6396. It's not running 62 times. It's not running 62 sevens. That'd be thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And by thousands, I mean more than like 6,000. I'm talking about thousands, like 6 times thousands. Right? 7 7 sevens. This is nonsense. 7 7 62 sevens. What language is that? That isn't how you would do that. So, and most Bibles have that. Whether 7 weeks doing 62 weeks. See, 62. It doesn't add up. I think my theory is right, and I'm going to test it when I'm figuring out how to do it. I don't know how, but I'm going to need ChatGPT's help. It said that's what we were looking at before. It showed me how to run it, and it did it for me. So I see you guys in the next one. I'm going to figure this out, and I'll get back to you. And then we're going to run it for the first time. So I see you guys later.